Okay, can everyone see my my window? All right,
Yes.
great. So this is my landing page when I get into Canvas, and I want to just show you quickly when I go, this is actually through Chrome. When I go in through Safari, you'll notice that I can't, the pictures don't always show up. So I would suggest using a Chrome browser if you don't have it, even though Safari, I do like Safari, but Chrome is a better way to go. So I'm just going to log out here and go step by step on how to log back in. So the website is meca.instructure.com. So I'm going to enter there, and I already have my information. And so then I'm going to find the course that I want to edit. So today we're working on, let's see, Faculty Demo Sandbox. So I'm going to click that course. And that little blue one that was next to it means that I don't, next to those little boxes, means that I have a discussion that I haven't seen yet for me, not that the students haven't seen or but specifically for my account that I haven't looked at. So this is the landing page, and you'll notice that this picture I'm not going to change. That's going to be universal for all the courses. Every course section, it's my understanding, will have a different picture, but we're not supposed to change that. So but I do want to change the course description area and everything that's below it. So I'm going to come up here to the edit button. Let me just make my screen a little bit bigger.
And as you're doing that, I'll just pop in and mention that what you're about to edit, the course description, that particular section should be the exact same course description that is in the course catalog, the same description that is on file with the registrar. So if you don't have that, you can reach out to Anne or your dean to get a copy. But that particular section should be the same as what's listed in the course catalog.
So with that being said, I took the list that we sent out to you all, or Araminta sent out to you about what we were going to learn today in the webinar, and I pasted it in here. So that's this course description. And they're all set up the same. So the next piece is faculty introduction. I've taken some time to prep, and I've put my background. Best way to contact me is, I didn't do that. It's actually through email and phone and my handle. So the thing that's missing here is a picture of me. And so I'm going to put my cursor next to the faculty introduction, press enter, and I'm going to go up to this little image box right here. I'm going to click the down arrow, and I'm going to upload an image. And when it gets here, I will click on the rocket. You can drag and drop your image in here if you'd like. And let's see. We'll come down to personal, and we'll grab this image and click open. There's the image. And I want to make sure I describe the image so that way if students have any sort of reader at home, they need to use their text, if they have any sort of like seeing impairment or anything like that, they can have the reader read what the picture looks like to them. So something simple, but you would probably say instructor Lenny Margaronis in a yoga pose. And I want to embed the image and then go down and click submit. So this is huge. No one needs to see a picture of me that large. So if you noticed, I'm just going to click the box, and I'm going to come up to you can click any part of it. I'm just going to drag it from the top left-hand side, and I'm just going to make it smaller and smaller and smaller. So I click on it, bring it down, and then my text is over here. I don't want that there. So I'm going to bring my cursor next to my hi and press enter. So that's how I upload an image. And you'll notice throughout our webinar today that image uploads are the exact same everywhere. So once you get this edit box, if you see that image, you can do the same thing in any of the other boxes. So quick access, this comes with a template. I'm going to keep those so that way students can access any of the questions that they have about the learning modules or the Canvas student guides that are available, they can look at. And the communication and updates, this is where they can have quick links to all of those. Announcements, I will be using announcements for important updates only, and that is best practice. So you don't want to use your announcements for all the time, just use them for when it's really important. And then the inbox, we'll go over that later today as well. And so all of these are standard. You just want to keep them there and explain how you're going to use them in your course. So for this course, I'm going to be utilizing, or Araminta and I will be utilizing the inbox instead of email communication. And that's really nice because all things MECA, all things a course, come to one spot. So it's really good for students so they're not missing emails and you're not trying to go into your inbox and see who you sent it to and on what day. All right, so that is how to update the home page. And Araminta, do you have anything you would like to add before we move on?
That was great. I would just add that that home page comes preloaded with some text for you. So Eleni had created, had already edited some of that text, but like down where it says conferences or announcements, the text that you see will say, explain how you plan to use this with students. So you just want to make sure that you do edit that text, because if you're not going to use that feature, like if you're not going to use discussions at all, you could just take that entirely out of your homepage. But of course, we're using all aspects of it, so you see all aspects of the homepage. Just wanted to let you know that that would be there.
And for this, because we're not using conferences, I did put in a Zoom link. So that way, because we wanted our students to meet in Zoom once a week or twice a week, then this is the link that they would use and they'd be able to access it here.
Right, and just to clarify that, Canvas comes ready with a tool called Conferences that uses a third-party application called Big Blue Button. And we have found that's a little buggy. So when Eleni said conferences there, she's referencing the tool within Canvas that comes preloaded. So we're using Zoom or Google Meet. We're not using Canvas conferences. Does that make sense? Okay, thanks.
So before I leave this page, I want to make sure I come down here all the way down to the lower right-hand corner and click Save. And then there's my home page. So the next piece is to upload and set a syllabus. So I'm going to find the syllabus over here on the left-hand side of the navigation bar. And let's see. I'm going to go over to Edit. And then it says syllabus description, and I'm going to pull in my syllabus. So a couple of different things here. You can link your syllabus so then it opens up and when the students click on it, or you can embed the document that the syllabus itself. So I'm going to start with a link just because that is, actually, no, I'm going to go with a document here. So I'm going to upload my document. Click that little piece of paper with a down arrow. And again, it's just like that picture we did, but this time it is a document. So let's see, Canvas demo, example syllabus. I'm going to find it on my desktop and then go to open. And this is an example syllabus. So when I'm ready, I'm going to click submit. And for this, because I uploaded the document, it is embedded within Canvas. So the students don't have to click the link and then have it populate. So this is the preferred method, but if you just have a link, that's okay as well.
And before you navigate off that page, I just want to draw your attention to what's underneath the document. So if you could scroll down, Eleni. So you see how it says course summary and there's some dates there with assignments. So later in today's session, we're going to show you how to create discussion boards, assignments, and quizzes that have due dates. And the moment you create a due date, Canvas automatically populates that due date in your course syllabus section. So you can see that there's 2 that are already there. One's due October 17th, one's due October 23rd. Those are 2 assignments that Eleni and I made last week and we set a due date for. And so that's why you see them on the syllabus page. So later when you're setting up your own course site, you can set up assignments, discussions, and quizzes. And as soon as you set a deadline for those, it automatically puts them in that course summary page under your syllabus button. And I think I see a question. Do we want to save questions for the end, or do we have time to ask right now? What do you think, Eleni?
I think we can go. We can answer some questions right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bob.
Works for you.
One of the things that came up when you put the syllabus on into Canvas or however, I've had some students ask me, how do I print off from that? Because they want a hard copy of it.
So you need to upload your syllabus as a document so that the student can then download and print. Or they would be just printing the web page itself, the same way they would print a normal web page.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
I also had a problem. I think I had linked it and then it wouldn't load. I linked a PDF.
You linked it? Yeah.
Right.
I think I linked it. It just showed the text.pdf and the color font.
So a PDF is a document, so you would need to upload the PDF unless your PDF was hosted somewhere else. So a PDF is like a kind of a mixed media file type. If you created a PDF on your hard drive, then that document lives on your hard drive. So you actually have to upload it into Canvas for anybody to see it. If you created a PDF and you hosted it on like your personal website, then you could link to it. Does that make sense? The difference there?
Yeah.
You'd want to come back in and use this little icon right here and find your PDF if it's on your desktop, just like I did with this one. You'll use this instead of this link button.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? So we're going to click Update Syllabus. Again, make sure you click this button right here because you'll want to make sure it saves. So that saves everything for us. So then when the students come on, this is what they're going to see. They'll see your full syllabus here, and yours will probably be more lengthy. And then, like Araminta stated, you'll see all of the due dates that you have incorporated into your Canvas site. All right, so the next thing we shared we were going to go over is to how to publish your course. So this is a little bit tricky, and I sometimes get caught up with this too, especially when we first rolled this out when you all first rolled it out and I came on board. So when we go home, let's see here. I'm going to, here, let me go to announcements. Okay, so a couple of different things. You can, the site currently is published. So we started with a published site, and I'm trying to go to, Araminta, where is it? Where did
I'll show you an easier way. I was wondering which direction you were going to take. Yeah. So the easiest way to publish your site is to go back to the dashboard.
Okay, that's because sometimes it shows up on the top here. So, and
when you're in your dashboard, look for an unpublished site. So you probably have a sandbox or 2 down below. Yeah, you have 2. So this is the easiest way to publish your course. You just click that publish button. So you go to your dashboard and click the publish button on the course you want to publish. Your students cannot see anything in your course site until you publish. So if you are working on your course materials and you don't want students to see, leave it unpublished. And then when you're ready for students to see it, you can hit publish and they'll be able to see it as long as they've been loaded into your course. So we're loading rosters right now about a week before the class begins. So if you were to publish your course site today for spring, students wouldn't see it until we load them. Does that make sense? Great.
So this is the tricky piece. If you go in after you publish or even before you publish, and anything that you create, so like your modules or There's assignments too that you can do this with. You'll notice that there are these green little dots over here on the right. This means that those are published. If that isn't there, it means that the students can't see it. So I'm going to go back to modules because that won't mess anything up here. So this is one whole module. And even if I publish each one of these these assignments underneath the module, if this top one is not green, the students won't be able to see any of this. So the way you can use this, which is kind of neat, say you don't want the students to see what's ahead for whatever reason. It's kind of rare that you would do this, but let's say you have a reason for that. You can unpublish these until it's time, and you can actually set the date for when they can be published. But the most basic thing is to make sure that all of them are green if you want students to see them. So if they can't see something, the first thing you do is go into your course and say, okay, is that green button there? Do I see the green check mark? Any questions with that? All right, so we're going to jump into organize your course content. So there are a couple of different ways to organize course content. You can do it by sequence and theme. You can do it by content delivery. And then you can also do it by date range. So this is really important to pick one and then continue following that throughout your course. I am a sucker for the date range. I love to have everything weekly and bi-week. Some people, especially some classes that you might be teaching, really are around projects. And so it would make more sense for you to organize your Canvas modules into projects. So say you have 3 really big projects throughout the class, you'd have one module per project, and then all of the assignments and the quizzes and the discussions would go under that module.
Thank you. So I think that switches over to me, and we're going to talk about the difference between page discussion, assignment, and quiz. And I'm going to share my own screen. Oops. Sorry, I hit the wrong thing. Okay, so you can all see my screen now. You're looking at modules very similarly to what you saw for Eleni. So what I want to draw your attention to is Eleni just talked about some different ways that you can organize your content. And she gave you 3 different themes. One is sequence and theme, one is content, one is date range. So generally what that means is if you're teaching a studio class, you're probably teaching around project, right? We're building up to a painting, we're building up to a sculpture. So those are project-based. You're teaching like an art history class, you might be teaching around a theme of your course, right? So right now it's pre-Raphaelites. And if you're teaching like a standard meeting-based class, like we meet every Thursday, then you're probably teaching around a date range. You're saying everything in my course is based around that Thursday meeting. But no matter how you're organizing your content, you're organizing it using the tool called modules. And your students will have the easiest time navigating your content if they use the button called modules. So what you're going to do is you're going to create a module for every theme or project or date range you want. So I'm going to do plus module, and I'm going to create a module called pre-Raphaelite, since that's what I was thinking of. Make sure I spell it right there. And I'm just going to add that module. It automatically adds it to the bottom. I can reorder these. I just have to move my Zoom stuff over. So now I've got this module that's called Pre-Raphaelite, and now I want to add the content to it. And the content includes what I'm going to teach. So like my passive instruction, those would be the videos that I might curate or produce myself. That would include text pages or documents that I want my students to read. I might include assignments, quizzes, and discussions in this. So I'm going to just hit the plus button, and I'm going to start by adding a page. And I've got some of these pages that I've already made. It's asking me if I want to use one of the pages I've already made. I don't want to. I'm going to click new page, and I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it Introduction to Pre-Raphaelite art. And I'm just going to add that now. So that's a page. A page is passive content. It's literally a web page in Canvas. So that web page can be anything I want. It can be a set of links to different websites. It can be a bunch of pictures that I put on there. It can be a web page just like a Wikipedia page. It's got text and pictures and videos. It can be any combination of those things. It is literally a web page. So I will use a web page or a page when I want my students to do something passively. So I want them to take a lecture. I want them to read content. I want them to download a bunch of handouts and read it. They're not handing anything into me. They're just doing this to the learning aspect of it. So that's a page. That's when I use a page. So next I want to add, I'll actually show you how to edit these pages in a moment. Right now you're structuring your content in the module. So next I'm going to add an assignment. And assignment is anything I want them to hand into me. So the first thing I'm going to have is a Pre-Raphaelite journal. I had to pick one that I have to sound out in my head to spell it every time. Raphaelite. So I'm going to have them do a journal assignment. So that's something they're going to have to hand in to me. And I'm also going to have them do another assignment, which is a paper, because I want to show you the difference in those two things. Still organizing how my module is going to go. So right now they're going to take a lesson, they're going to do a journal, they're going to do a paper, and then I want them to have a discussion. So I'm going to make a new discussion. Call it Talk About This Era of Art. So they're going to have a discussion, and then after the discussion at the end of the module, they're going to take a quiz. Quiz on Pre-Raphaelite. Okay, add item. So I have just organized my module. Right now there's no content in this module, it's just the structure. So you start, Canvas has you start with the structure, and then you dig in and you actually design that structure. So what I'm going to do, remember, a page is what? What do I use a page for? Who remembers?
Any kind of passive activity.
Bingo, passive activity. So the learning activities, the things that I'm going to consume. So I'm going to click the edit button. Actually, no, I'm going to click the button. Edit only edits the title. I forgot about that. So I'm going to click the button. So now I'm looking at the page, and now I click edit. And this is going to take me to the page I'm going to create. So I will write the text I want my students to read about this subject. I will add video. I'm not going to show you all of that now because we're going to do all of that in detail later, but all of these buttons up here are how I make this web page. These buttons should look a little familiar to you if you've used Google Docs or a web generator before. I'll add images. I'll add instructions. I'll add instructions spelled beautifully. I'll add links to resources. Click this web page and come back. And once I'm done with all of that, I'm going to save and publish, because remember, you have to publish everything or they cannot see it. And then I'm going to go back to my module and finish editing the content I have there. So I made a page. That page is passive content. That is information I want my students to learn. Now I'm going to show you a journal. So this is an assignment button. And when I edit this assignment, I can do a couple of different things here. And notice that I made a journal. Now, in my mind, a journal is something that a student does pretty quickly, right? They might answer a couple of questions and just submit that answer to me. So I might prompt them with name 5 Pre-Raphaelite. And that's my journal prompt. And this is going to be worth 3 points. So I'm going to give it a point value. And when I want the submission type, I'm going to say submission online, because that means I'm not collecting it in a classroom. I'm actually collecting it on Canvas. And I'm going to have a text entry. So for this option, they're going to click on this button and they're going to get a text box And all they have to do is type in the answer. That's it, and hit submit, and I will receive that and I can grade it. I'm going to allow unlimited attempts. I do not need them to peer review. Maybe I want them to sometime, but I don't need them for this assignment. And I'm going to put a due date in because I want it to appear on the syllabus page so they know it's coming, and I'll say it's due on the 30th. And then save and publish. Now they have an assignment that is entering into a text box. So back to modules. There are other ways to navigate around here. I'm kind of taking the long way around, but now this is the pre-Raphaelite paper assignment. So the first assignment I showed you is a journal that I had students enter text into a text box. Now I want them to do something a little more elaborate. I want them to upload a document, a full paper. This is a bigger assignment. So I click the button, I click edit, and I'm going to give them all of the instructions as soon as that loads for me. Here we go. Instructions for your paper. MLA format, 10 pages, cite sources, all that jazz. This one's going to be worth 50 points because it's a paper. It's a big one. And again, the submission is online because they are going to hand it in through Canvas. And for this one, I want file upload. I might accept a website URL because they might want to submit it through Google Drive if I'm okay with that. Personally, I'm going to prefer file upload, and I'll show you why later. File upload will fold a paper right into the screen for me to grade when it comes time for grading. And we have an example of that we're going to show you when we get to the grading section. But I'm going to leave it as file upload, 50 points, still not going to require peer review. And this one is due November 6th at 11:59 p.m. Save and publish. So far, I have created passive content. That's a page. I've created two types of assignment, a low stakes assignment or a formative assignment, and a high stakes assignment or a summative assignment. And then I have discussion and quiz. And I'm going to stop there because Eleni is going to go deeply into how we make an interactive discussion and how we make an interactive quiz. But remember, discussion can be used for anything that all of the students come together around, right? So assignment is I'm handing something into the instructor. Here's a response, here's a paper. Discussion is I'm handing something in I want everyone to see. Here is a video of my sculpture installation. Please give me a critique, dear students and faculty member. Here is a presentation on my subject on pre-Raphaelites that I did in slideshow. Please give me a critique, dear students. Or here is a question about the content. Let's unpack it all together and really dig into it. So discussions can be used for anything that's interactive with the entire content. And I'm going to flip it back over to Eleni.
I have a question. Is it okay to ask a question now?
Sure.
When I've used Google Classroom, I have posted the assignments and put the instructions in there. Like, I want you to watch this video and answer these questions, read these chapters, reflect on how it links to class. So when I've had that all in one document, I'm looking at there's the introduction page and then the assignments are separate. Is this something we need to explain to students? Okay, every module you need to go to the page for the instructions, or is that something that we could assume they know?
That's a really, really good question. So I think the important answer is that everybody is learning Canvas at MECA at the same time, students, faculty, everybody. So students aren't going to have this habit yet.
Okay.
So a couple of things. I see Margaret Brownlee is here. We are working with her tutors to help them help students with Canvas. Okay. So we're teaching those tutors how to help students navigate those modules. The number one instruction that we can give our students is click the modules button to work your way through the content of this course. Right? That's like the first thing we can tell them, and that should help them navigate. And then like we can build over time tutorials and resources on the website that say, this is how you should navigate the course so that you get through all of the steps. The other thing, it was Deb that asked that, right?
Yeah.
The other thing that we can do to remind students is to remind them to look at the syllabus. If we as faculty have put due dates on everything, thank you, Eleni's about to show you, when they click the syllabus, they can see everything that's coming due. So that's another way to help them.
But those are just the assignment documents, right? So they wouldn't see the introductory page for the module on the summary below the syllabus?
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. So we would want them to navigate by modules. That is just a way for them to keep track of what's coming that they have to activate.
Which is really helpful. Okay, thank you.
Something that I love about Canvas is it's not just located underneath the syllabus. So what is that? So their assignments are not just located here. Anything that you attach a date to, whether it's discussions, quiz, an assignment, it's also going to be on their calendar and it's going to be on the home page. So if I go to my home page, what I have to do is right over here on my right-hand side, and it's whatever's coming up, and they can integrate their personal calendar with this Canvas calendar. So if I go to my calendar and the students, and you actually can see the same thing. So you'll see here, I have all these different courses that I'm signed up for. This semester is crazy. And so I need to keep track of all of my assignments, and every single class has a different color. So you'll notice that art history survey is gray, and these are all the assignments that have passed. So the students can find their assignments in multiple different places in Canvas, and they can integrate their calendar in with this one as well. Does that make sense? So it's seen underneath the syllabus on the right-hand side and in their calendar.
The other thing you can do is if your introductory content really needs to be passed through, meaning it's not just an introduction to pre-Raphaelites, it actually has lecture content and active components, you can do one of two things. You can either activate the page by making the student have to mark it as read before they can move on through to the activities. So what that does is it actually adds that active component to the schedule. And if they don't click that mark as read button, they can't see the rest of the content. So that's one thing. Or you could make it an assignment. You could actually say, this is an assignment, and the only thing I need you to do is write one word in the text box to move on to the next item. So those are some options for you. The mark as read is probably the easiest. You can lock any aspect of your course site until a student completes an aspect before it. So you can lock your modules so that they have to complete the module before they can get to that one. Or you can lock it until they click the mark as read button.
Do you want me to demonstrate that?
Sure, I'm seeing head nods.
So I'm going to go into my module up here, the example sequence and theme, and I'm going to click edit. And I'm going to lock it until, let's say I want to lock it until the 31st. Now this is for all students. This would not be, say that I can't, Deb, you're one of my students and you can't get into this until you do something else. This is not how to do that. This is for all students to lock the module. So if you don't want them to see it and you want to set up a date, you'd go into edit and then you would update that module there. So if we go into each individual assignment, and I'm going to go into edit. And let's see here. We're going to scroll down. You can add it to the student to do. That's another option that shows up in the assignment. This is a page. So you can actually have the page be available under the student's to-do list. And so I'm going to cancel that because that's not the one I wanted to go into. So let's do the outline of demonstration. Oh, is this is another page. Sorry. I'm gonna go back to Raphaelites because this is that we just did that. So we'll do the paper here. And then go into edit. That's what I was looking for. Okay. So we're gonna scroll into edit here for this assignment, and Araminta, if there's an easier way to do this, you can point it out as well. So allow attempts, moderate grading, and then you can have the due date. So it could be available from, say it's due November 6th, but you only want this particular assignment to be available starting November 4th until the 6th, and you can adjust those dates as well. So to lock it for being read, Araminta, I'm going to pass that over to you if you want to just help me go through it.
Sure, you covered that actually when you were looking at pages. So
Okay.
the lock was on add to student to do, and then you would lock through module. I'm trying to like move my mouse over your screen. That doesn't work. I have to refresh myself on how to do this.
Okay, so
by module.
And then we go to edit.
Oh, it's prerequisites and requirements under module.
Okay, so go back out to the module. Okay, perfect.
Yep. And then when you click on another theme, the 3 dots, edit.
There we go.
And then you've got the prerequisite and the requirements right there.
Fabulous. Okay. Any questions with that before we move on to discussions? Okay, so I have so discussions are one of my favorites. How to create a dynamic discussion board. So Araminta shared earlier about how discussions can be used for critiques, they can be used as prompts, and they can be used for presentations and unpacking some content for the students. So as she showed you earlier, you can make a discussion underneath the module. And that would be my recommendation, that you're making the discussions under the module. So whether it's a project or it's content or it's time, based on time, that's the best place to do it. And so, and Araminta just demonstrated that. So on the student side and on your side, this is what you're going to see when you click on the discussion link. So discussions are right up here. I click this. Don't worry about the top box and don't worry about the bottom box. That's for now. It's really that this box right here for discussions is where you're going to want to be. So in this, you can change the sequence in which they're in. You can give discussions a date of when they need to be done by. And there's also, you'll see these notifications over here, and these will be, you'll be able to see these when you first look at your dashboard. You know how when we first started, there was that little blue number 1. That was indicating that I had one discussion that I hadn't looked at yet. So once I look at these, all I have to do is just click them. And once I've looked at them, those the 3 out of 3 will go to 0 to 3. So we'll go back just to take a peek at that. So now I've seen all of the replies to this discussion prompt. So I'm going to start with peer crits or critiques. And for those of you who are working, especially with studio arts, discussions can be great for having students share their work and getting critiques from their peers and from you. So this would be the prompt that you would normally give to students if you were in class. Like this is what I want you to post, and these are you want to make sure you have expectations from your students of what they are supposed to give to their peers as a critique. Does that make sense? So it'd be very similar, like you were in class. You would just put it in text and have it be a discussion prompt. So what the students are supposed to post, and then the expectation of them replying to their peers.
Or a video. You can also make a video with those expectations and plop that in there too.
Yeah, so for this, this is my, I did this last night. I hope you all love it. But this is what I want you all to critique. And then to show an example of a video, I did put this video in. This is actually an awesome, it's design dictionary. And there's some, it's a great example of how students could create a video that they need for a critique if they are doing any sort of like textile, anything really, for them to show how they did it, so you can actually see their process from and being in a remote setting. That's helpful. So two different ways they can upload pictures, they can upload voice, they can upload video. And the way that they would do that is just like we would do, we'd go to, let's see, if we go to discussion, say that you wanted to reply back to me. And I'm going to go back to that prompt and let's see, I want to reply to my video. Oh, it looks like Araminta already did that. Video is great. Can students record videos and share them in discussion posts like I'm doing here? So I would reply to Araminta and I would say, just clicking that reply button. Yes, students can record videos and share them. I always feel like typing in front of people is just like being up on a whiteboard when you're in a classroom. You forget how to type and forget how to spell. This is a fabulous way to use discussions if you haven't already. And then the same kind of thing can happen for content. So we're going to come out of here. Araminta, did you want to add anything before I move to content discussions that I may have missed?
No, I think you're doing great so far. Well, I would add, you can make discussions graded. So we haven't shown how to do that yet. Yeah. But yeah, this is great.
Okay. So for example, if I wanted to, we'll go into talk about this era of art. And so say we're talking about Raphaelite, and I would have a prompt about how any sort of discussion prompt you would have in class. So what's really important is to set a clear precedent, so that way students know exactly what's expected of them, so the discussion can be really rich. So I'm not going to ask yes or no questions like that basic, what is an open-ended question for students? And then what's the expectation? So I want students to, let's say I wanted them to read that, the content Araminta put in for Raphaelite art, and have them share like 5 points that 5 things that they found that were new, and what did they learn from it or something. That's kind of a bad example. But then at that point, then they would be required to reply to 2 of their peers. And then I would demonstrate and model what a good reply is. So I don't, you want to make sure the students don't think like, oh, that's cool, it's a good reply, because that's kind of lame. So that there's some real engagement that's going on in the discussion board. And setting those expectations at the very beginning will help students. It'll make the discussion board much more rich. So, and some wonderful things can happen in the discussion board. So if you want to make it graded, if you just saw, I went back, let me go back here, and I clicked on edit. So you can either do it from the discussion board page or you can go to the module. So I'm going to go back to modules, and I'm going to go back down to, I know this is a discussion because there are 2 little boxes, like comment boxes, or I'm going to click on the talk about this era of art. And it brings me back to the discussion board. I'm going to go into edit. And then I'm going to make it graded. So I'm going to click on, this is a graded discussion. And let's say I'm going to give it 3 points. And display grade is points. It's going to show up as an assignment. You can also do this. You can also have it be, you can have it be an assignment without having it graded, so it shows up on their end. An option there would be to just have it be a 0. So there's no points there. And then I'm going to go down to the bottom and click Save. And then I've got a graded discussion for my students.
Yeah, and two quick things about that, if you wouldn't mind going back into edit for me, please, Eleni. So in terms of due dates and assignments, in the instruction part in the text box where you set up the discussion prompts, you typically want to have 2 to 3 due dates. So the first due date is the student responding to your prompt, right? So I'm going to prompt you to answer a question about what you love about John Waterhouse paintings. And then the second one is the students responding to each other's prompts. So the second due date is, okay, after you've posted your initial prompts, come in on the second due date and respond to at least 2 of your peers. And when you respond to them, I want you to ask them an engaging question and cite a reference from our textbook that backs up your idea. And then the third due date, and this is an optional one, right? Some people stop at the second. The third due date is, and then I want you to come back in one more time, look at your original prompt and answer the questions that you received from your classmates. So then if you're doing the graded option and you want it to show up in the syllabus, I typically will do the graded, the due date as the third due date, so that it's the final due date before they get cut off. So when you set up that discussion, you just want to prompt them to kind of know when to expect other people will have done the work so that they can jump in and do their discussion part. And then the other thing I wanted to draw your attention to is in options where it says allow threaded replies. So the default is to not thread a reply. So that's setting it up a bit like a blog. You know, when you visit a blog and you can add a comment and it's just a long list of comments. I recommend that you do click the allow threaded replies because that allows you to have interaction and you can see like at what point a person responded to someone else in the thread of the discussion. So if I post something and Margaret responds to me and then Deb responds to Margaret, you can see that flow as opposed to just a long list of comments without context. So those are 2 recommendations I have for discussions. And then the last recommendation that I will offer is, as educators, do not fall into the trap of responding to every discussion post that your students do. You do not need to do that. It is exhausting, and it's also not best practice. So probably the best practice is the landscape post, which I think Eleni is going to talk about next.
I am. Yeah, so the landscape post, I'm going to demonstrate that here. This is a way to, as you're reading through all of the students' discussion, it's a way to pull out areas where they may have misunderstandings and to highlight some areas of misunderstanding within the content, or what they're working on. If it's a specific technique where the majority of students could improve. If you're finding any themes that need to be touched on. It's also a way to highlight students' work. So if someone did something really well, you can call them out. So you would never call someone out for doing it wrong. But if there's something that they have, a suggestion that they've made to a peer, just highlighting some of your students as you reply. And then also kind of, it's a landscape, so you're giving a summary of what everyone really talked about. So as you go through your discussions, you can say, you know, hi everyone, this week's discussions were really rich. I loved that so-and-so, you know, offered this suggestion to Eleni. I would just make sure that you all go back to your resources and maybe reread this document because there's some misunderstanding about that. And so you can clarify whatever it is within your course that students may be having a hard time with. And it saves so much time. And from experience, as a student, I don't have to read all your replies to all of your students. So I can learn everything that I would have learned having gone through every single reply for all of the students to see what you said to them as feedback in one spot. So it's helpful for everyone. Any questions about that landscape discussion reply?
I would just add one other thing, which is you could put that landscape response in the discussion, or you can shoot it out as an announcement. And sometimes that's a nice cap. I know there's an instructor, I think in this group actually, who every week after an online class will send a summary of that class as an announcement email blast to the students every Friday. And students they really love it. They have given some really great feedback to that. So you could do the same with your landscape post. Use it as your summary to the group.
And they will get a notification that they have an announcement, not only on their dashboard, but depending on how they have Canvas notifications set up in their email, they'll get a notification as well that you've created an announcement.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Hi. You guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
So I teach a seminar in spring, and the topics we get into are pretty heavy sometimes. So I found a way to get the students to comment and have discussions as they give me anonymous questions on a piece of paper when I was in the classroom last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just go through their questions and comments through anonymous pieces of paper. I mean, after a while I could tell their handwriting, but they didn't know who was actually within the group who was making comments or questions about the discussion, about the either videos or text that we would be discussing for the day. Mm-hmm. Is there an anonymous discussion?
Yes.
Okay, that's long story short. That was my question.
What I would recommend for that is there's a couple of options. Earlier, I think you weren't here, but you'll get the recording after. Earlier, okay. I talked about a form of assignment that I referred to as a journal, where the student gets a text box. So you give them a prompt and the student gets a text box to respond. You could set that up to be peer graded and anonymous. So then students would be able to see the text box response, but they wouldn't know who submitted it, and they'd be able to answer the question. So that's one way. There's a couple other ways, but that's a quick and simple one.
Okay. So there's an option. I can find it. But I just want to know if there's an option.
When you get the recording after, you can look for that section on assignments, and I called it a journal.
Okay, journal. Cool.
I have another question. Mm-hmm. Is there an easy way to track their replies? So the first due date, post your original reply to 3 classmates, and then answer questions. Is there a way for us to track that if it's not graded?
Oh, if it's not graded? Well, yeah. Every time somebody submits something to the discussion board, it's date and time stamped. So you would be able to see it when you clicked on their response. So this doesn't have a lot of students in it, so it's really hard to demonstrate this, but you can click on the user, and when there's 15 students, you'll just see Deb and everything Deb contributed to everybody everywhere in one space. So you'll be able to see that they hit all the due dates just by glancing at Deb. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so go through, click on each of your 20 students and make sure that they've got 5 things.
Yeah. So you'll
the correct ones.
Yeah, you got it. Yep. Okay. But I would recommend that you add grades, even if it's 1 point and it's not factoring in the grade book, because that gives you that notification surety. Like you will be certain, they will be certain that they had to do something. So you can set something to be graded and not have that factor in the final grade.
Mm. And you also mentioned having it be an assignment, but it's a discussion, not from the assignment. Like it has the logo, it's not a page, it's not an assignment, it's a discussion. So I guess I have assigned, discussion boards on Google Classroom before. So how do I go about that? What should I do?
Okay, so an assignment is when you want your students to interact with just you or just one other person anonymously. Okay. So like what I just recommended to Andre was for like a peer graded assignment. And a discussion is when you want your students to interact with multiple people, with the whole class.
You had said that. Okay.
No problem.
Okay. Thank you.
Other than Deb, just to clarify, you can, even though a discussion is a discussion, you can still make it graded or non-graded and show up as an assignment, as a to-do. So if I put a date on that discussion and I put it as graded, the students are going to see it like they would an assignment. It's going to come up on their calendar. It'll come up on their to-do list. It'll come up underneath the syllabus. So you can link, they can see that it's coming up, but it's still classified under discussion because it's in the discussion part of Canvas. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I would worry that they would get overwhelmed with too many things to do for the one class, but that does make sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're all learning.
Yeah, and you just hit on one of the reasons why you might want to lock content, like so it doesn't open until later so that they don't feel overwhelmed. There's pros and cons though, right? So I have students in a class right now who are saying that somebody doesn't allow them to see content for 2 weeks out, and that they're frustrated by that because they don't know what's coming. And then I have students who are like, there's like 60 things to do. I feel like there's so much to do, I'm never going to get it done. So like, really, it's up to you. You got to decide inside yourself, what's true to my practice, and pick one. Because it's pros and cons either way.
I actually thought of another question. So when we're teaching synchronously online, it can be difficult to have conversation with everybody popping up. Is the discussion something that you could recommend that we use as part of our synchronous class time?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You could say, take 10 minutes and write in the discussion board and just kind of pop it in there, or look at something in the discussion and reflect on it and then come back. There's a lot of different ways you could do that synchronously.
Yeah, and that's also a great way to give some critique on how to create a really rich discussion. And so that way, and if you have something that's happening synchronously and you're not in the discussion board and you're running out of time, you can continue that conversation in the discussion section of Canvas, which is great.
Good idea. Yes. So we are at the rich text editor. We're almost through our content and we have 30 minutes left. So we're making good time here. All right. So the rich text editor is available to you in every space that you would create something in Canvas. It's also available to your students. They see the same thing you do. So I wanted to just draw your attention to it because there are some components of it that I want to make sure you use. Now, when I'm going to speak briefly about ADA compliance, accessibility compliance, because now that we're online, there's a whole different set of accommodations that we have to be prepared for that we might not even realize are at play, because when we have face-to-face students, we accommodate differently. For example, vision impairments such as double vision, where they can't see small text, or color blindness, subtle color blindness, where they can't see green or red text. Those things are very common online. So you want to make sure that you set up your content so that it's formatted in a way that anyone looking at it will be able to interpret it either through the browser tools, through an assistive device, or through context clues. So for instance, if I want a heading for my text, for my lecture, I actually have to flag that as heading. It's not enough for me to make it bold and size 15. I actually have to go up here to the text and flag the heading. And there's only ever one heading 1. That's the title of your page. So you notice it starts with heading 2. That's why it starts with heading 2, because the introduction to pre-Raphaelite art is actually heading 1, right? So think about the way that you scan a newspaper. You kind of skim those headings before you go and read any one story. That's how you want to navigate how you format your text. So I've got heading 2, that would be like the headline of the story. Then I enter some text here, and that's the story itself. And then I've got a sub-story about that, like a flyaway story of like, this is about the lecture. And that I might make heading 3. And what this does is it sends a browser clue and an assistive device clue. So if I'm somebody who's using a device to help me interpret what's on the screen, it sends a clue about what this content is and how my eye should absorb it. So the first thing I wanted to draw your attention to is make sure you format your text using these heading options. And you can insert a table, but if you do insert a table, make sure that it's actually a table. Like, don't use a table just to organize the screen the way you want it to look. Use a table for a table. So this might be students, groups, colors. And then underneath each of these, I would put a name. Here's the trick for ADA compliance. When you add a table, you need to put the text into the table in the same order you would expect it to be read. So I recognize that left to right for Western civilization is not true of everything. So I might need to go to put the order students and then go down the list, name all the students in the table rather than go left to right. So having said all that, tables can be tricky. Don't use a table unless you absolutely have to. And I'm going to take that out. But I added a table just by using that table button. Oh, well, it won't let me delete it now. Rather than take up time trying to delete a table, I should be able to highlight it and just hit delete, but I'm bouncing around on my laptop. So let's move on. So this text editor, you can insert just about any kind of media. You've got hypertext, so you can add links to within your course and links to external resources. So I can make that hypertext any kind of text I want. I can highlight this right here and make it be google.com or MECA.edu. And then that becomes clickable text. I can insert images, which we showed you earlier. I can insert documents. So I could have one page, have all the handouts that I have for the whole section or for the whole course and call that page resources. And students can download all of their handouts in one place. And I can add media. I can upload video. And because we ordered Canvas Studio, which Eleni is going to show you momentarily, I can actually record video directly into my course site. I can add little Quizlets to that video, and your students can record video too. So this text editor includes a lot of different functions that you can make your pages dynamic. The last thing I'm going to show you before I let Eleni jump into Studio is this button here, which makes a lot of people squeamish the first time they see it. It is the HTML editor. Now, if something isn't looking correct on your page, sometimes it's because you copied and pasted it in from another site and the HTML code is making it all wonky. So when I click this HTML code, I can see all kinds of bizarre language here. This is the code that makes my page look the way it looks. If you get stuck, contact Eleni or me, and we'll jump into your HTML and fix it for you. Unless you think you can spot it on your own, the clue that I will give you is this slash here means the end of a string of code. So I can tell that that's the end of my table where it says slash table. So I'm going to just highlight all the way up to the first part where it says table. So table to slash table and delete it. And now when I go back, my table's gone. So that HTML editor, you can use it on your own, or you can contact Eleni or me, and we will jump in and correct those code errors for you. All right, Eleni, you want to show Studio?
Okay, give me just a moment here, and I will share my screen. We'll get into Studio. Actually, Araminta, I think I'm going to start with the embedding the video and
Sure.
if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's
okay. Great. All right, let me move you all over here. Okay, so I'm going to go back into Pages, and you can do this wherever you need to in the course. It doesn't well, actually we'll go to modules because this make more sense to be in modules. So today I have an awesome YouTube video that I want to embed into my class. I don't have to go to do that. So for example, let's see here. If I go back up to introduction to this page, and I'm sorry, my computer is it's having a hard time right now because Studio is up. I'm going to head to edit. And then you'll see this little plug. So you'll want to find this little plug, and that stands for a plugin or an app. They call it an app, but it's a plugin. And you can integrate different apps into Canvas, into wherever you want them. So say I had video that I just created in Studio, which we'll cover in just a second. I can pull that video into this page in the module. If I wanted to put Google Drive in, I could do that. Or if I want to, if there's a Vimeo video that I want to have. So I'm going to do Vimeo because, let's see, there we go. Can everyone see that pop up of Vimeo? Did it come up? It did? Okay, great. So let's see, what is it? What was it? Production? Is that what MECA?
Project.
Help me out here.
Project.
Okay. Yeah. Project. So I want to see the new video that MECA has out there. Oh, art. There it is. So I'm going to click embed because I want my students to see this. So I went to Vimeo within Canvas. I clicked on that plugin icon, and I'm just going to go to embed. It's going to pull that video into this page so students can see it and they can click on it right within the page. I love this part of Canvas. So anything you want to integrate in from any of these options, you can do YouTube, you can view I think it was Adobe Spark, Canvas Studio, Google Hangouts Meets, anything that you want to pull in there's an option here with this list. So it's a great little tool. So you don't have to go to YouTube and search, you can just search within Canvas. And let's see, what else is next here? So images, we already went through images, and YouTube is the exact same way as Vimeo is as well. Okay, any questions with that before we move on to Studio? All set?
Great.
Okay, so Studio, an option that's available in Canvas, and it does a couple of different things. So Araminta briefly talked about it earlier about how you can have a video and have a little Quizlet for your students. So this video is actually still processing. So for example, say that I want to record something within Canvas. Say I want to record, I want to show my students how to navigate Canvas. So I'm going to go to record. And it's going to prompt you quite a bit here. So you have two options. You've got screen capture, which would mean the students can see my screen. And then the webcam capture would just be me lecturing or speaking into the webcam and they could see me. So I'm going to go with screen capture because I want to show them how to navigate Canvas.
And very quickly,
there's a pop-up that says,
I just want to add one thing. The webcam capture can also be, because it's a webcam, like that could be the student picking up the webcam and shining it on their art. So just note that webcam doesn't have to be a talking head. It's whatever the webcam is pointed at. Sorry, Eleni, go on.
Thank you. No, that's great. That's a great point. And so I'm going to open this screen recorder. And because I already opened it while we were chatting, you see that I recorded everyone. And I wanted to make a quiz about what Araminta was saying about the HTML link. So normally you'd have this, I'm going to upload this actually, so it just goes into, oh, I think my computer is having a hard time with all of it.
Studio is hard to run while Zoom is running.
What you can Yeah, so I would upload this, and let me just cancel here to show you what it would look like. And I don't know that you're going to be able to see the actual screen recorder on your end, but basically it'll take either my whole screen, and I just press record. I can record into my laptop or my computer, whatever I'm recording on, and then it will upload to the studio space within Canvas. So again, like Araminta shared, if there's something you want to show the students, oh, look, my nieces and I doing yoga. Oh, good, it uploaded. And so if there's something you want to share with your students that's your work, you can do the same thing. You could even use, you can use a phone and video record that way and then upload it to Studio as well. So anything else, Araminta, for this?
No, I think that's a good start. I want to make sure we get to quizzes and speed grader, which we can do very, very quickly as well. But that Studio is available to everybody. So just remember some different applications for using Studio. You could actually use that threaded discussion board to share video back and forth. Like if it was a foreign language class and you needed to see conversation happening, everybody could record a snippet of them talking, right? You can use that video to ask your students to give you a tour of a website or to give you a tour of a PowerPoint show. So that could be a presentation that they make, or you could use that video yourself to provide lectures. So there's a lot of different applications for Studio. Just drawing your attention to that. And in another, maybe a video later, we'll show you how to add captions to videos and how to add the little quiz question to the Studio, because I think it's going to be too much with Zoom and Studio both running at the same time. I don't think we can show it live. So I'll do a canned recording.
Okay, fabulous. Because my computer, we can, if your computer can handle it, we can switch over to yours if you want to do that. But so this is it's such a great tool because you can do everything here, and the students can do their recording as well right in Canvas. All right, any questions with that?
So we're going to show quiz and then speed grader. Do you have the quiz up? Can you show your screen and I'll walk them through how we set that up? As I was the student in that scenario. So we created a quiz example using all of the different automated, auto-graded aspects of the quiz feature. So you can set up a quiz. Quiz is just the term Canvas uses. It's good to get used to the way Canvas labels things. If they label it discussions, that doesn't mean you have to use it as a discussion. You can use it as a presentation. They're calling it a quiz. You could use it as a final exam. Quiz is just the functionality. So under sampler quiz, there's a demo of some question types there. And what we did was we set up some different types of quiz questions. And if you click preview, you'll be able to demonstrate, I think, Eleni, how it looks.
Oh,
oh, it's already loaded. That's
no,
okay.
I can do that. That's fine. Let's see here.
So you, oh, student view, even better. This is actually a good moment to point out you can see whatever your students see by clicking on student view. You have to go to your home page and click the student view button. And then you see what the students see as opposed to what you yourself can see, because you can see more than them. So the sampler quiz. So what I did, you can click begin, was I set up 6 auto-graded questions. The first is multiple choice. What is the most common color of toilet paper in France? Does anyone know? I had to look this up to find that out. It's pink. So go ahead and click pink. Multiple answer is when you would submit more than one answer as correct. So we know that the majors that are offered by MECA that are in this list are illustration, printmaking, and ceramics, not philosophy or creative writing. Ordering is when you have like a series and you want the students to put it in the correct order. So maybe it's eras of art. This is Bloom's taxonomy, and I think Eleni knows this one. So she can probably do it. Remember, understand, apply. So she's putting them in the right sequence, and this will auto grade. And don't worry if you get it wrong. They'll get to see what happens when you get a quiz question wrong.
Oh,
matching.
And I got the last one wrong.
So matching, you would set up a set of responses on the left, and then on the right, you see how the drop down actually has 2 additional answers? I could have given it 20 additional answers. 2 of those are wrong. They don't match anything on the left. So that is actually a pretty rigorous question, or it could be. And each of those she would match. And then the bottom one is a hotspot. And I really like hotspot for a number of art-related questions. The image in the hotspot shows multiple images here, right? Different planets. And I ask which one is Mars. If she clicks on any area other than Mars, then she's going to get an automatic 0. She won't have answered the question correctly. So when she clicks submit, she'll be able to see immediately what she got right and wrong. So quizzes allow you can set them up so that they auto grade. And we're seeing a lot of activity with this for art history questions, where there's like an image of a piece of art and the student has to name the artist, name the artwork, and name the year. And that will auto grade. But you still want to put eyes on the score just in case you messed up setting up a question type, or if the student entered the correct answer, but maybe they spelled it in an odd way and the computer didn't recognize it. So you can always look at the attempts as an instructor and see whether or not the right answers were rendered. So you're seeing it there as well.
Yeah, the student sees it too.
And this quiz, there's 6 questions there, and I preloaded this quiz with the correct answers, and that probably took me about 10 minutes to make. So they don't take very long to generate either. So that's quizzes. And then the last thing I wanted to show you was SpeedGrader. If you could go as an instructor now, Eleni, and show the assignment that I uploaded. It is the sample Hamlet paper. We can show you what a paper looks like. It's academic paper with grading.
And I uploaded one too, I think, in there. You'll find a couple.
Awesome. So this is the Grade Center view. And you can see the attempts that have been submitted. And if you want to open one, you click on, you want to click, it hasn't loaded yet. Yeah, academic paper with grading.
Okay.
There's like a slight delay on my end, so I'm not quite following your path, but we'll get there.
Yeah, there's a slight.
There it is.
Oh, this is mine. Okay.
So this is Eleni's submission. So let's say she was submitting works of art. She could do that as static pictures in a document, or it's a paper. And notice how at the top of the screen as a teacher, you can see 3 out of 10 attempts. So there's 3 submissions that they can look at, that you can look at. You have the scoring on the right. It says grade out of 50, assessment grade out of 50, and you have the ability to add comments for the grade. But up above the document, you can actually annotate any aspect of this document right on the screen. So if you ask your students to submit a paper through the Canvas assignment file upload, this is what you will get, and this is how you would interact with it. So you can actually annotate and do in-text commentary, add the grade, add the comments, and then when the student goes to get that paper back, they actually go to the Grade Center and they can see all of your annotations, comments, grade, and commentary all in one place. So yeah, I know that was a really quick flyby, but we've got 5 minutes left and I wanted to give us time for questions. Any questions about quizzes or assignments and SpeedGrader? Awesome. So we nailed it. We hit everything right on the head.
No questions yet. If you do have questions, remember to reach out. I am a grant-funded part-time instructional designer for MECA, so make sure you reach out. And if there's any questions, especially as you start the new spring courses, not spring, I'm sorry.
Yeah, spring. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, spring. Right. Okay. Oh my gosh, it's already spring.
I know. And this, I will be uploading this to YouTube. And I will put it on our Canvas page on the MECA website. And I'll also email it to everybody who was on the list for this event so that you can have it for reference. But if you have any questions, you can comment on the YouTube channel or you can email Eleni or myself, as she mentioned, at any point.